Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's roll call, we have 2 members missing, Enrique and Mary. I'd like to appoint temporary clerk. Michael Nelson will be the temporary clerk. Do I need a vote? No, thank you. Okay, with that, I'd look for approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Michael, second.
Second.
By Jonathan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes 5-0. Okay, election of officers. So the first one up would be for chair. And I'm looking for nominations for chair for this upcoming year. I'd like to nominate Michael Nelson as chair. Are there any other nominations for chair? I have to read this 3 times, so get ready, it's a little redundant. Are there any other nominations for chair? Are there any other nominations for chair? Okay, seeing none. With that, Michael Nelson is the only candidate nominated for the office of chair, and I hereby declare her elected by acclamation and direct the acting clerk to record in the minutes. Okay, with that, we do a switch of the seats here, so it happens right away. Okay.
I got it.
You got that? I'll take my computer.
Thank you. Phone switch.
Okay.
Continue the nominations.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Ooh, that's too close.
Well, talk loud.
I'd like to call for a nomination for school board vice chair.
I would like to nominate Amy Crosby for vice chair.
Amy Crosby is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of vice chair clerk? Are there any other further nominations for the office of vice chair clerk? Are there any further nominations for the office of vice chair clerk? Amy Crosby is the only candidate nominated for the office of vice chair clerk, and I hereby declare her elected by acclamation and direct the acting clerk to record it in the minutes. Next up, I'd like to call for nominations for the office of school board treasurer for 2022.
I nominate Stacy Ruel.
Stacy Ruel is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Are there any further nominations for the office of treasurer? Are there any further nominations for the office of treasurer? Stacy Ruel is the only candidate nominated for the office of treasurer, and I hereby declare her elected by acclamation and direct the clerk to record it in the minutes. At this point, we're going to ask everybody to change seats and your name plates to represent where you're sitting.
No, we just had to get started.
I'm sorry.
Because it's a long agenda tonight.
We're all settled? Okay. We'll move on then to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed by the board chair. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed?
So made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Stacy and Jonathan. And before we discuss and vote, just to let everybody know on the consent agenda tonight is to designate the depositories for school district funds, to designate the official school district legal newspapers, to name the school district financial consultants, to name the school district legal counsel, to name the district auditing firm, to name the assistant board clerk, and to authorize persons to lease, purchase, and contract goods and services within the budget, and to designate the school district special education director, district LEA, ESEA programs, and data practices compliance officer, to delegate the authority to make electronic transfers, to direct administration to publish notification in the official district newspapers, and the designation of identified official with authority for the MDE External User Access Recertification System. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes 6-0. All right, moving on. We are at school board compensation, and this was in your board packet. There is nothing new suggested for this year, and so we are asking for a motion to just set the compensation for 2022 to be the same as 2021. Do I have a motion for that?
So made.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes 6-0. Next up is approval of board committee assignments for 2022, and I'll ask former Chair Ruel to distribute those.
Yeah, you
Or
should
they
have
are
it right.
distributed.
Yep, they should have them right. Not much changes. I had to put myself on some stuff because I wasn't on really anything. So there's been some slight changes, but other than that, for the most part, pretty much the same.
And I believe we are asking for board approval for this, correct?
Correct.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the committees as listed?
So made.
By Jonathan, second.
Second.
By Julie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 6-0. Next up is discussion of meeting and procedures format. And I know Stacy had alluded to some things at our last meeting that may come up for us to discuss as the year goes on.
Yeah, so just into some discussion, and I think you guys know this, trying to balance a little bit the role of the chair. I think just with pieces of communication and allowing like the vice chair something to assist. I think the workload has changed over the years for that. So I think we're just going to kind of look at some policies and even really some protocols and talk to staff about ways in to which we can alleviate some of the load. I think that's more or less it. And I did delegate quite a bit in the sense of meetings and things like that. So I would just encourage the chair to do that, just because it's been a lot. So, but I think we'll look at that along with some slight, look at just open forum. There's been some new guidance from MSBA that came out too. So these are all in the 200 series, which we just finished. So it would only be bringing back just anything that we're tweaking. Am I missing anything?
Well, I think that's it. Other things listed here are pretty standard, the 2 meetings a month and procedures and format, reports.
I think too, just since COVID and the need for requiring us to use microphones, I know there's a desire for people to come back and get a more informal conversation at study sessions, but I think given the fact that, public hears, it's streamed, right now, it's something that's a constrict for us to do that. So we've maintained this format for study sessions. So I think, if things change with that, then I think we can change back.
Right.
Obviously something to discuss, but I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if anybody has questions or
else?
anything.
Okay. Thank you for that. We'll move on to the in-service discussion, and we do have some things on the books already that I will share, and then we can certainly discuss. First and most importantly, because of the timing, we have asked to get together on Tuesday, January 18th from 5 to 7. And the purpose of that would be to have Dr. Dan Edwards and Sam Oak come in and work with the board to help us better understand policies and procedures for things like hate speech, racist comments, how is discipline handled, so that as we do our own equity work going forward, we have a better understanding of what is happening on the front lines. We will also be briefed on the program Speak Up in School, which is being explored and worked with staff in the buildings. So that's to help us lay the groundwork of understanding what's happening on the front lines. And then on February, oh, go ahead, I
I was just
apologize.
saying Terry probably wants to jump in because there's a little
Thank
bit.
you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the board taking the opportunity to have some of the shared learning with our administrators and our team. This is information that we've done a study and review of our harassment and bullying policies. We've assured alignment and consistency, and have worked with administrators and gotten some input from students on that as well. So over the course of the next several weeks, actually at early release on January 12th, we're going to have administrators review all of that again with all staff, certified staff, paraprofessionals, and then we'll work on support staff later. Just as a reminder of their role and responsibility in reporting and some of those procedures and practices that we use. We also, on January 12th, we'll just give an overview with all staff surrounding some of the Speak Up information. They have received other professional development last month just to assist with interrupting and saying some things when comments are made in classrooms. So we're going to be sharing that with them as well. There will be more training on some of that for staff on February 21st, but we wanted the board members to be sure that they were aware of where we are. We're also then, later in January, and I don't have those dates yet, but we'll make sure all secondary students, also we have a review of those policies, procedures, so they're really clear on how to report, what happens, some of those sequencing things. And additionally, are planning on meetings with parents, inviting parents in as well, same thing, so that they understand, here's the policy, here's how we go through and review and what's happened and investigate what's happened. So just wanted to be sure that the board had some time to have a really thorough understanding and ask questions before we went out and had that same conversation with parents so that you were prepared for any questions that you might get. So appreciate your dedication to that.
May I put you on the spot to jump into the February 28th proposed training as well?
I would love to do that as
Thank
well.
you.
This has been something that former Chair Ruel and I have talked about for a couple of years, and that was spending some time with school board members to really develop and create your leadership purpose statements. This work actually, and if you recall some of the presentations that former Activities Director Russ Reitz shared with education-based, purpose-based athletics and activities. He has gone through a lot of training with the inside-outside coaching, and part of that was making sure that coaches and leaders have transformational purpose statements so that they really are grounding themselves in why they lead and what it feels like to be led by them through an athletic lens. Well, we've advanced that a little bit, and actually about 4 years ago, Russ took all administrators through the process of also creating our transformational leadership statements. We've come back to those statements multiple times over the last couple of years, last week being the latest, to ground us in our why, and during really hard times to remind us of some of that. We also, a couple years ago with staff, as part of our kickoff, Russ did a presentation. Some administrators took their staff through the process, not all did. But the place that we haven't done this work with yet is the board. So we wanted to have some time. We have the opportunity for one of the leaders in Inside Outside Coaching to come spend an hour with the board on February 28th and just take you through an opportunity to reflect a little bit and then create purpose statements that hopefully will continue to ground you as individuals and as a team as we keep moving forward.
Thank you for that. Okay, also, we will have coming up our annual board retreat. It was on the calendar for June 27th, which does bump into that upcoming 4th of July holiday, so we'd like to propose moving that to June 20th instead. Of course, we'll be sending all these dates and times out to you. For now, we're asking you to reserve from 4 to 8 p.m., and if that should change, we will update you on that. And looking forward beyond that, we are also hoping to do some work with Seema Potini, who has been helping with racial equity training for our staff, for our administrators, and being a liaison with our community resources in Credit River and Prior Lake and Savage and Spring Lake Township, in leading community conversations. So in the effort of providing more consistency with what's happening with community, with staff, with students, she also has been working with some students, we have asked her to look at preparing some sessions to come in with us. So we're all sort of on our equity journey where we need to be and having some continuity between these different efforts. So we will update you as soon as we have more information on that as well. I think that is everything we have planned or tentatively planned. Any other comments on that? Great. I think at this point I am to the place where I ask if anyone would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So made.
By Stacy, second.
Second.
By Amy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the meeting is adjourned, 5:47. Thank you.